All right, guys. Man, oh man, this thing's silly. Absolutely silly. Silly, 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 silly. Stupid crap. They basically want you to have this thing hooked to the internet. And they don't want you to do anything from the front of it. It's really annoying. So I hooked my battery up to it, and I expected it to just kind of work like normal. You know, it would read the battery, it would be able to power on. You wouldn't need grid hooked up to it or anything like that. It would just, you know, work. So I thought, well, I should be fine, you know. But what it was doing, it would turn it on, and it would read 0 volts, and it'd give me an alarm. So, long story short, I went and hooked up 4 panels to it, hooked that up, turned that on. Spent 3 or 4 hours trying to figure out why do I have 0 volts. Registered the dongle. You got to give them permission to your location, all this other crap, which I thought was a little shady. And then you go in, and then I went on the Santan's website, and come to find out, I got to put their code in here in order to use my inverter. So, Santan Solar's quick start guide for this thing basically says, batteries can be set to lead acid or lithium, setting number 3. It doesn't tell you anywhere how to get to it. Choose lead acid settings for battery capacity. Choosing lead acid setting, the battery capacity will need to be entered. Choosing Li-ion battery of the battery will need to be entered for the BMS communication. It is important to remember if attempting to BMS communicate with EG4 batteries, a firmware update will be needed to perform on the batteries. This will require the PC to the battery communication cable. In attempting the BMS communication with all EG4L batteries, blah, blah, blah. And then so, this is the battery compatibility chart from EG4. This should be like absolutely highlighted here. If the certain battery is not on the compatible list, use the lead acid battery setting. Well, the manual doesn't tell you anything about that. It doesn't. The manual for this thing is actually really nice, but it's horrible. So, basically, if you have it set on lithium, it expects a cable from the BMS, and so you'll get 0 volts. The next thing you got to do, you got to register an account and hook up the Wi-Fi dongle, and you got to download the EG4 monitor app, which is actually pretty nice, but it's not the point. Your customer code needs to be Santan number 1. You do all this stuff. You got to set up the dongle, and you do additional settings. Make sure power save function is disabled. This should be set to default. I still don't know if that's even set, you know. Now watch our step-by-step video where we hook it up to their rack of batteries, which does nobody else any good. I don't really know who they had to do the video for them. It looks like maybe one of the guys I've seen at the store, but the videos weren't very helpful. I searched and searched and searched and searched. I looked all over the damn place, and I could not figure it out. And so finally I found this guy's video here, Adam D. Lay, going over the settings for the EG4 6000 XP. He covered it like in the first 10 minutes of the video. So my hat's off to this guy, because I would still probably be looking right now trying to figure this thing out, because it doesn't cover it in the manual and nobody else is talking about it. So his video saved my butt, because I figured it out. You know, he said if you know, I don't remember how he describes it, but so he goes over here. Let me show you. Normal. Like probably in the first few minutes of his video.
Share what I think with some folks. So looking at the monitoring page, monitor installer settings on the EG4, I'm able to have access to everything that the...
Okay, so what we're basically looking at here is the settings here that you got to change. Lead acid, 100 amp hour, a bunch of other stuff. Battery eco mode, buzzer enabled, the voltage that you want, if you want arc fault, if you want rapid shutdown. I'm disabling that because I don't have it. And I don't know what PV grid off is. PV arc fault, neutral bond, you can do that. You can set a bunch of different things. Start times for AC, parallel settings, phase, battery share mode, current limit for the charge settings. I'm gonna have to set all these. I don't know what they should be. Charge voltage. Let's see, 57.4. Float voltage, 54. So there's a lot of settings in here, but this thing itself is kind of, I don't know, it's, when you first log into the page, it really doesn't make any sense. So by the time I got this figured out, we had like basically no sun out. So my batteries are a little low too, so now I gotta figure out whether or not I can feed it with 120 volts or not. If it needs to be 240, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble, because I'm going to have to get over here behind, back here, where everything's hooked up to the amps. So right now I just got a couple of panels hooked up, and I moved everything over here, and I took my cables off of here. So this thing is running air conditioners right now. There is no there's no sun out. Well, it shows 29 volts. So technically it could be assisting a little bit, but there's 0 watts. So I think what we'll do is we're probably going to leave this here, and it's going to stay hooked up. I've got my batteries over here. I can see what the voltage is on one battery. What it ultimately probably should do is probably order 2 more of these Chins batteries or something similar, and just go ahead and put them there, because we know we're going to probably have an imbalance problem no matter what, and it would be nice to just have this 24 volt battery over here hooked to this. I think you get rid of the lead acids. I'm so glad I have them, because it allowed me to leave the air conditioning on while I fiddled with this thing for 4 hours. So right now I got these over here, and they're gonna run on this, so this is cool. But what I'm hoping is, once I get this thing going, I'm gonna figure out whether or not it wipes out my radio. And I think that this turns on the inverter, so we might be able to actually see what's going on now. Okay, so yeah, okay, we got 53 volts and 120 out. So what I'll do is I'll turn this thing on later and see if the inverter puts out anything. We can see the PV is actually at 45 volts. The interface here isn't quite what I'm used to, but anyway. So I didn't want to knock out any of the knockout plates yet, because I'm like, if there's something wrong with this thing, you know. Yeah, anyway, so this is all for the generators and the parallel thing. So apparently this turns the thing on or off. This turns the solar on or off. This is a breaker for the battery, and these are breakers for L1 and L2. So if I touch this too much, I'm going to get shocked. This is the neutral ground, and then I guess this is the, why does it say PE, but a ground for the PV? I don't know, really. And then they recommend that you use a 20 amp breaker here. All I have is a 32, because coming from 24 volts, you know, everything is higher current. So so you got these hooked in here, and there's 2 arrays. Kind of funny, actually. It looks like they have a little rail in here, and there's something else there. But other than the stupidity, I'm fairly impressed with it. But So the display times out pretty quickly. Okay, so I'm not really seeing any interference on here, but this is also on too, which is kind of interesting. So actually I really should be seeing something. I mean, it's clean as a whistle. Well, maybe it's just something to do with the 7300 being better, maybe, I don't know. But I'm not seeing anything at all, guys. I really love this waterfall on this thing. I don't know, I honestly think, I hate to say it, but I think this might be a better radio than the 710. I don't know. Anyway, so it's been a real long day reading this manual, watching videos, trying to figure this out. So, oh, we can see right here. So drawing 21 watts out of the battery. But it just, like, why are we going to call this a lead acid? It's not. I want something that's got the ideal settings already in place for the deal. So anyway, I would guess that since we're doubling the amount of batteries that we have hooked up in order to achieve the 48 volts, we should be good. I'm trying to remember what the voltage really should be, but anyway, so it's working. I don't know why they call it EPS backup power. That's really strange. So maybe, I don't know, strange. So it's definitely cool that I can monitor this with the phone, so I could sit in the bedroom, I could see whatever, I could make changes from the bedroom. But we have to figure out where the hell we're going to mount this thing. And right now I'm going over here to this array out here, and I don't know if you can see out the window, but that's where they are. So I've got all those panels hooked up. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 panels, but it's dark out. So anyway, we're down to 23 volts. It'll be 6 times 37 in the morning when it comes on. So we're gonna go ahead and shut this thing off, and then it shows like all the time 5 volts on this thing. I don't really know why. I've always seen like, oh, 5 volts. Well, why was it showing any kind of voltage? So there's no way to charge the battery because the PV voltage is actually lower than the battery. So anyway, we got to figure out where to put this thing. I'm thinking that I might have to tear all this stuff down, okay? I might have to remove all of these shelves, because the only realistic thing is I've got all the cables coming in here for this, coming in through here, and I'm like, well, if I pull this section here, or if I change this and I beef up this, I can maybe hang it over here. But the problem is, I think it, you know, might be too close to the door. But I bet it's 53 pounds. You got to hang it on something substantial. You really don't want it on anything that can technically catch fire, but you're gonna have to put it somewhere. And it's not supposed to be mounted like this. I've just got it here like this for now to test. So anyway, that's my update on this thing. I had a whole huge video I was gonna upload, but scratch that.